First of all, I want to thank Steve. I mean, without Steve, this would not have happened. He did a phenomenal job. I know he worked his ass off. He was emailing me every other day about, should we do this, should we do that? And put a tremendous amount of time and had enough energy to get everybody down here, which is commendable. So I want to thank you, Steve.
That's about 30%, but without the people in the room,
Right,
it's
sure.
nothing.
Everybody, yeah, but everybody came together and made a great thing. Before I start, I want to share a little anecdote that happened to me last week. I'm always hearing things, finding things. I'm always thinking. But I work with a guy, and his passion beyond work is he plays music. I guess he plays rock guitar in a band. I don't know a lot about music. I know more about classical music, but I was asking him different questions. I said to him, what's the difference between, like, no offense to you, but like what you do and like the big name national acts on the national stage? What's the difference? He said, the first word he said was consistency. He says they always play in rhythm, on time. And then the next thing he said blew me away. He said, they never miss notes, and it's just pure music. And when I heard him say pure music, right away I thought, well, and that's what I'm after, pure image. Just a pure image to have. A little bit about myself. I grew up about 15, 20 minutes west of here. I started doing photography in '82, around the same time Steve did. Started doing large format around '84. And it wasn't long before he and I started bumping into each other. The large format world is pretty small. So we both had sort of like parallel tracks and how we felt different, but sort of together. So we've been out a lot together, and we're always doing photo, we're always sharing things. But I had good fortune. I left my job. I applied to graduate school. They gave me a teaching assistantship at Ohio University. I had one of the best professors living at the time, Arnold Gasson. He was a disciple of Minor White. It was the Clarence White School of Art at Ohio University. Through Arnold, I was able to get a job at Maine Photographic. I worked there in 1989. Of course, being at Maine Photographic, I got to work with all the monsters, the greats, and that's where I met George Tice. I ended up getting a job with Arnold Newman in New York. I printed for Arnold, and he's a pain in the ass. But it's amazing to watch the real big ones work there. I have such a clear vision of who they are. They know who they are. They know what they want to say. They know how they want to say it. And they know where their work fits into the realm of the medium. Very focused. It looks like I'm all over the map here. I mean, I've got rusted oil tanks, I've got apple blossoms, I've got hallways that go nowhere. But basically, I take two pictures. I take pictures of the land and pictures of America, or at least America I think of as America. Fading America. I'll start with suites of images. They're all contact prints up to here. They're all old school film, darkroom contact gelatin silver prints. You know, fingers wet, smelting's fixed, so we get a headache. These are all contact prints. This is right up the road, 10 minutes away. Weathersfield Meadows, where Steve works a lot. This was literally in my backyard. I call this Mr. Ludwig's Orchard. That's the name of the farmer. I literally threw the camera over my shoulder, walked across the street. I'm real happy with this picture. It's just a full image. There's a lot of movement. For me, it's very poetic. I like quiet, subtle, poetic pictures that say something. Pictures that I want to try to make a picture that's going to live after I'm gone. Pictures that have meaning. Pictures that are significant to me. I've learned a lot about myself over the years. It's sort of therapeutic in a way. The next suite of images, from this picture to this picture. I have a lot more of these. I have a lot more trees, but these are from an archipelago of islands in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Most of you know where Prince Edward Island is?
Yeah.
If you go 70 miles due north, 5 hours on a ferry, you come to the most magical, I'm giving you guys a huge secret, and I'll explain in a minute, but the most magical place I've ever been. I've been to Ireland, I've been to England, great places, I've been to Yosemite. For me, I've connected with this place. You know, they say you should work on projects or things that are most near and dear to your heart. I just absolutely fell in love with this place. I went there in 2005 by myself. I took this picture, others as well, and I took this one, 1114. I went back last year with my girlfriend. Other language is French, and it made an enormous difference.
These are the Madeleines?
Madeline Islands. There's Madeline Islands in. She was able to obviously talk. It's all 100% French. If you don't speak French, you might have a little. They're nice, super authentic people. I just love the Acadian culture.
It's Madeleine.
Madeleine or Madeline, whatever. Madeline, right? It was named after. You're familiar with the islands, I'm sure. Someone told me from Canada it's Canada's best kept secret.
What?
And he was right. I just love the place. And so she was able to sort of ingratiate herself with people on the island. They actually invited us into their homes. Of course, locals are telling you the best places to go, there's things to see. There's 12 islands, they're sort of hook-shaped, and they're about 70 miles in length from tip to tip. It's like going back in time 100 years. There's literally only 2 ice cream parlors in the whole chain. There's not one t-shirt shop. It's like going to Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket 100 years ago. There's a house there. Sparse and just pure, authentic. It's windswept. Just a lovely place. And I'm going back next year, 2 more weeks. And I thought about leading a photo tour there, but I'm kind of honestly ambivalent about it. I don't want it to turn it into slot canyons and other places. I don't want people just tripping over each other. So I might do it, but I only tell a few people about where the place. I just think it's just so special.
Where do you stay?
Rent a house. It's extremely reasonably priced. It's very low key. It's so non-commercial. It's so like laid back. After 2 days there, I felt like a wet noodle. It's just so relaxing. It's just a wonderful place. So those are from the islands. I'm going back. I've got more prints in another case in my room. These are urban work. So the other thing I do is the urban landscape. You know, I live in 2 worlds. I live in the world of nature. Sometimes that's where I grew up mostly, and I think enlarged my vision of the world. You know, years ago I would never have thought to take a picture like this. You've all seen Steve's picture. Yeah. So he and I were literally shoulder to shoulder, and I looked over my right. He was slightly behind me, and I looked over, and he was shooting vertical. I was upset. I set up vertical originally. When I saw he was doing vertical, I said, I don't want to do the same thing he's doing. So I went horizontal. And I tilted the camera a little bit to the right. 2 different images, 2 different renderings, both, I think, very successful images. This is the only print up here that isn't on Oriental Seagull. It's on Ilford Classic. I just wanted something a little bit warmer for this. It's right outside the Badlands in South Dakota. I came around a corner and this sign was right there. I always say, you know, I don't find pictures, they find me. Factor. So it was just there, right outside a tough biker bar. My 16-year-old daughter was with me. I felt a little nervous. I didn't know where I was. I worked quick. This I shot in February this year. This is just a bunch of houses up on a hill in North Adams, Mass. They speak to me. I have an empathic view of the working class, the people that do the hard scrabble day-to-day grind. I have a lot of respect. I grew up in a working class house, so it really resonates with me. Steve was with me when I shot this one. This is in Worcester, Mass. And same thing, we came around the corner, I saw this house, it was pouring rain. I had a Pathfinder at the time, I set up the hatch. I literally shot underneath the hatch to try to keep dry. This is in South Bronx. You were with me with this one. I'm going to have a show someday, so it's going to be called Steve Sherman Was With Me When I Shot This. Oh, I forgot to mention. What's wrong? Sorry for being silly. This is for you, Gary. This is as close as I'll ever get to the nude in the landscape. Actually, I didn't even think of that when I saw this. I was so taken by the geologic. I had to research, what is this? Obviously a mound. But geologically, it's called a hillock. It's like a small hill, but it's just perfectly shaped like a triangle, so I like it. A couple of enlargements. These are from 4x5. This was 1987, and this kind of kicked off a project I called Fading Places. I shot this in '87, July of '87. I went back about '92, Northampton, Massachusetts, downtown. Wally Soap. I went back like in '92. I go back to the corner. I knew it was like at Route 9 and whatever street it was. I'm looking, where the hell did this building go? It's gone. The whole thing has been razed. It's all totally changed. And I kept having that experience over and over. I'd go back to places and they were just either so altered, incredibly altered, or just completely gone. It made me realize how fleeting things are. I think we subconsciously take pictures because we acknowledge loss. We know that this can't be any longer. So photographs preserve that for us.
I want to quickly jump in, Peter, and just tell a little, very short story about this image. So, 1987 you took
Right,
this,
right.
so I might have seen it in 80, I might have seen it in
Right.
90. So I had just gotten involved with the 4x5 camera and doing landscape and whatnot. And I would see a lot of work and I would say, Peter, I love that urban stuff that you have, but I just can't do it. He tells me one little phrase, he says, Steve, it's all about filling space. And subconsciously I went right to that image, to that light pole and that bulb, and it was like he blew open this 10-foot garage door, and ever since then, benefit of interacting with other people that are doing what we're doing.
Yeah, George Tice told me once, it's all about filling space. Like those trees I pointed out earlier, the apples, it fills up the space so nice. You have to, that's what it's about, I think. This is, this picture I call Photoshop. It's an old-time photography studio in Lyons, Georgia. And all the furniture is just perfectly arranged. I mean, I just had it all. Harmony, flow, balance, it's just all right there. Another 4.5. Now I'm only shooting 810. 810 contacts, and I just recently had Richard Ritter build me a 5x7 reduction back. I used to shoot 5.7 a lot. And this tank is defunct. I was also going to do a show called Defunct, because all these places are gone. 810, this is a tractor trailer right here. This thing's about 10 stories tall. Just mammoth. 810, I had an 810 and larger, a Durst as big as a refrigerator. I actually had to punch a hole in the ceiling to get the thing up there. 5.7, San Francisco. And then I got 3 platinum prints. I'd like to do more platinum. It's just so damn expensive. But it's a hallway in a church. Fire loft, they looked to my left and there it was. I didn't shoot it that day, I went back and took it. And then Steve was with me. Steve Sherman was with me and I took this. This is the oil tank farm, which is also defunct, it's been completely razed. And it was in Hartford. But I'm real happy with, I think, the geometry and the way, the composition. I'm real happy.
You should be, because I don't even show my work after
Right.
seeing that.
Yeah, well, it's just,
That's
everything-
special.
Everything
Yeah.
came with. I remember when I was looking under the ground glass, I was yelling to you, we're over in another part of the place. I said, Steve, you gotta see this. And then Hartford City Hall, of course, which Steve has really done masterfully. I shot this in '98. I actually shot it on the 4th of July. I remember the date because I could get into Hartford City Hall that wasn't open. And I went in, I knocked on the door. I had 2 donuts and a coffee in my hand. I gave the security guard. And this was a 3-minute exposure. And I had the security guard over by the breakers box. And I yelled to him, I said, in a minute and a half I'm going to tell you to turn off the light. And he turned off the light because I didn't want it to go for 3 minutes. I just intuitively thought it's going to get blown out, and boy, I got lucky. It was just the right amount of time. That's what I do. That's who I am. Photography's been my life. It's been great to me. So again, I want to thank you for your time. If anybody has questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. Yes.
This is just an observation, and I would love for you to confirm it or completely reject it, which is either way. I am looking at your landscapes, and then looking at your downtowns or your town stuff. It seems like you have, unlike some people, you go into an urban setting and shoot identically.
Well, my approach is the same. I always want to make something that's got power. It's something that grabs me, you know. I have the same approach no matter what the subject is.
Because I'm looking at like how the house setups and everything, and then I'm looking at the trees, and then this one, and I'm like, oh, it's it's weighted very similarly.
Right. But the language is similar.
It's
Right.
like it takes, I think, the urban setting and makes it very soft in some ways.
What do you mean?
Softer, like it just doesn't, it kind of, it gives it like, it gives it an accessibility.
Oh,
Where like, like the really busy downtown scene, because it's so, like there's an accessibility, there's an entry point where some people would not be able, like some people would think it too much, too busy.
oh, busy, too busy. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I just try to organize the furniture.
Yeah.
The first assignment I always gave when I taught photography was called simplicity. What's your main subject? Get all that crap out of the way and get to the essence of what you're trying to say. And I used to limit it to them. I said, you'd only have 2, maybe 3 elements in the picture. No more than 3 things, pieces of furniture in there. And they would get rid of all that clutter. I have a cool color picture of the snap of this bar when I came around the corner. There's actually like a Jeep parked here, and there's all this other shit, some other signage. It's just real cluttered. And I took that picture, and then if you saw that, it's just 2 totally different images. One's just like full of crap, and I had to sneak around behind the car and just. But anyway, yeah, try to get to the essence of what you're trying to say.
If you, to follow up with Paulette was saying, is that I can look at those pictures those are in Quebec province?
It's part of the Quebec province, yes, even though it's in Atlantic Canada.
And look at those, and then look at those 2 buildings, the last 2 contact prints.
Okay.
The darker one.
Right, sure.
And I look at those, and I could see where they're akin to those landscape photographs. And I think they're all quite beautiful. And to me,
Okay.
very, very moving.
Good. I'm looking for something that gives me a punch to the gut. I mean, just bang, You just gotta feel it. I can't describe it. Like I said, you look and you feel and...
Are you familiar with a photographer, Faye Godwin?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She passed away
Yeah,
recently,
yeah.
I think several years, a British photographer.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing that strikes me about the contrast between the nature and the urban is it has a very similar light.
Yeah.
Urban spaces can be very harsh in
Right.
terms of light. Well, and so can
Right.
trees and the landscape.
Well, I like it softer, quite.
Yeah.
The materials, black and white materials are best suited for soft contrast. They can't see the range of contrast like your eye can see, So I try to work with light that fits the materials better. And then all I really do is not a secret. I try to get the best negative I can in good light, and I try to match it to the correct grade. I just do the standard filters, and I have those big 12 by 12. These are all under a bare ball. I have a little scoop, and I have 12 gels, and I just tape them with painter's tape. So I look at this and say, this is a grade 2.5. I could just tell by looking at the negative, having done it so long. Match up the grade to the negative, and a lot of it's easy. I try to keep it simple. I try to avoid what I call darkroom gymnastics. Doing all this crazy stuff and chemicals. And keep it simple. That's another thing I learned from George Tice. Keep it simple. He is just so incredibly simple, it's ridiculous. We make it complicated. That's my own opinion. To me, one of my favorite things I like to talk about is I make pictures. There's a difference between a picture and a photograph. A picture is a pure image. Sometimes people say, well, I like your paintings. I like when they say that. Because they're not looking at the accoutrements of the trappings of a photograph. All the photographic process stuff sometimes gets in the way for me. And I also remember I had a conversation with an astrophotographer, world-class astrophotographer. And he was showing me nebulae and galaxies, just mind-blowing stuff, colors that could knock your socks off. And I said to him, I says, if I could stand out there in space, how do I know that this is what it would look like? Of course, he's a scientist. He said, in astrophotography, he says, we take careful measurements of the light, the spectral characteristics, the wavelengths, and we try to make the most honest picture to that object. Now, I like that resonated with me again, because that's the kind of thing I'm trying to do. Kind of show you this place as best as I can, as cleanly and purely as I can.
It's such an homage to silver.
I love silver, I love platinum. I won't ever go digital. I just love I love the physicality of carrying that big stuff out there. I love the physical process. I feel like my hands are involved. And I'm not a computer guy,
The term that comes to mind, having seen your work now
Right.
a number of times,
Right.
and each time it becomes more powerful for me, but this sense of place,
Mhm.
whether it is pastoral,
Right.
remote, or it's
Right.
urban.
Right, thank you. You know what, I love this poem by Rilke. It's called Being Present. Because being present is so much, because what is here is in need of us. This fading world has strangely charged us who fade away. And so we press on and attempt to achieve it, wanting to contain it in our simple hands, and the overcrowded gaze, and the speechless heart.
Thank you.
So, music, poetry, writing, it all comes together. So I think I've talked enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter, for showing as well as being part of getting this thing off the ground.